Welcome to a little different video. This is a little informative video. If you read the title, seen the thumbnail, this is all about smallmouth bass and how to find them and what to use to catch them. But I need you guys to really pay attention because I've been getting asked a lot of questions on, where do I start and what do I got to use to catch them. I'm pretty transparent as far as that goes, but this video is going to break it down 100% how I personally target smallmouth bass when I'm going to a lake I've never fished, or even a lake I've fished before and I know there's smallmouth on that lake. So you want to learn how to catch the smallies. First thing you need to do is hit that subscribe button down below, hit the little bell notification next to it, that way you're notified every time I upload a new video. I appreciate you guys. 90% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so it's free to subscribe to the channel. It just helps get my videos out to a wider audience. Now, let's get into the juice. What do I do personally to target smallmouth on a lake? Whether it's a lake I've fished before and I know they're there, or it's a brand new lake that I've never fished and I've only heard stories that they're there. Number one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search my local resources. The bait shop and Fish Brain. Those are the two resources I use to locate lakes on where I should target smallmouth. Once you do that, once you have your lake chosen, what you're going to want to do is open up Google Earth, whether it's on a computer, on your smartphone, on a tablet, whatever device you're going to do it. But open up Google Earth and pull up that lake. And what you do at this point is extremely important, and that is make a big lake smaller. What I mean by that is you're looking for the flats. The smallmouth are going to be feeding on the flats, whether it's a shallow flat or a deep flat, because smallmouth do live deep. There's really two different types of smallmouth on lakes that I've found. But no matter what, they're going to be on the flat, whether it's a 20-foot flat, that's the 3-acre flat or something, or it's a shoreline flat that leads to a drop-off, which leads to deeper water. I honestly never target smallmouth on drop-offs. Largemouth, you're going to catch largemouth on drop-offs consistently. That's where they hang out. Smallmouth, it's not the case. Smallmouth are going to be on the flats. Now, I learned a lot of these things from guys like Mark Zona and Kevin Van Dam, and a lot of the stuff I use and try to preach is stuff that these guys are also preaching. Next step is breaking the flat down, finding the little different nuances where sand meets rock, where sand meets grass, where grass meets rock, where gravel meets rock, where sand meets gravel, all those different little things, because those are like your stop signs for smallmouth. They're going to hold up on those spots. Even isolated rock piles or an isolated log, anything that makes that flat a little bit different, just that subtle change or a large change in that flat. But anything you can find that's different. And that's one thing about Lake St. Clair that makes it such a special place, is because that's all it is a giant flat. Lake St. Clair is nothing but a giant flat. Take your big lakes, your big inland lakes, and just make them smaller. Make them into a little baby Lake St. Clair, and fish those spots. Fish those spots and pick them apart, end to end, inside and out, and you'll figure it out. Okay, so number one, we got find the lake. Number two, make that lake smaller by locating the flats. Number three, pick the flats apart. You have to pick them apart. Find those subtle differences, and that's where you're going to find more fish than you would just on the straight sandy flat. One thing you want to keep in mind is remember where you catch one. It's really important, because 99% of the time there's going to be another one there. There's going to be multiple fish in that spot. That's basically what I do to break the lake down, guys. It's not like brain surgery, okay? I basically use my smartphone to navigate myself around the lake, and I drop pins on it before I go fish it, and these are the spots that I want to fish. Now, if I go there and it looks totally different than what Google Earth was telling me, I move on. But don't waste your time skipping docks and fishing drop-offs for smallmouth or fishing shorelines, like you're wasting your time. Find those flats, pick the flats apart, and you're going to find the smallmouth. Now, next thing I'm going to talk about is the baits I use. These are the baits I use personally to catch all my smallmouth. And I'm going to start with the not so popular option for me, and then my last bait is going to be my favorite bait for catching smallmouth bass. Now, the not so popular option for me is the drop shot. Drop shot is a finesse style of fishing, and if you don't know, if you've never fished it, just look up a YouTube video on how to tie a drop shot. Fairly simple, little drop shot weight there. And I've had my best luck with this, keeping your hook from your weight anywhere from 8 to 10 inches. Nothing more over 10 inches, guys. Super simple. It's a finesse style of fishing, though. You cast it out. You cast it out there, and you just kind of pop it back to you. You know, you let it sit there, drag it back a little bit. You know, you launch it out, and it's just, you know, you'll feel that weight dragging bottom, and then let it drop down. Reel your slack, pop it up a little bit, reel your slack. One thing to keep in mind with the drop shot, my buddy Darius taught me this one. He's like the drop shotting king. Don't set the hook as bad as you want to. Like me, like I want a Bassmasters Classic, you know, just wham, nail them, right? It's not what you want to do. When you feel that weight, you're just going to feel them. You're going to feel the weight, just start reeling into it. Reel it into it, and when you got the fish, you got them. And just keep it tight. I've lost a lot of fish by getting a little too antsy, and I start feeling that weight, and I just pop it, you know what I mean? And you'll pop it right out of their mouth. But that hook's that circle hook. And that baby there will hook them right in the corner of the mouth every time. So that's the drop shot. My second least favorite, but a must-have when you're fishing for smallmouth, is going to be the Ned rig. Now this is just like a Z-Man Ned head, but this is from Fish Frostbite. You guys are pretty popular in the ice fishing industry, but they do make some pretty cool finesse baits. So what this Ned rig is going to do, you launch it out there, and it's basically on the bottom like this, and you pop it up, and the bait is made to stand straight up, so you want a really buoyant bait. What's cool about this one is it's got this, you know, they got kind of like that Z-Man style plastic, so it really stretches. This is, like I said, from Fish Frostbite. This is called the Instructable Bug. Instructabug, one of them, either way. But yeah, so that's your Ned rig. Proven deadly, but again, if you're not a finesse fisherman like myself, if it completely annoys you, it's not going to be your go-to. But it needs to be in your arsenal. It needs to be tied on. It needs to be ready to go. All right? Bait number 3 is going to be the tube. Right here. This is actually a fancy little tube I got from Savage Gear. It's a goby tube, so it's got little fins and all that stuff. It's different, okay? It's a different profile than the fish you're used to seeing. But really, all you do to work a tube, I've caught smallmouth on the tube. It's a must-have in your arsenal for smallmouth fishing. Green pumpkin with purple flake. You don't need any other color. It's the best color for smallmouth. Green pumpkin, purple flake. Remember that. But all you do with this, launch it out there, and it's kind of like, it's almost like finesse. I mean, you can swim it on the bottom, but I like to do, you know, I just kind of like to pop it, you know, reel a little bit, make sure it's on the bottom, and just snap it back, almost like a jerk bait, okay? But it's got to be on the bottom. And then just reel your slack, snap it back to you a little bit, reel your slack back up, snap it a little bit. You want to keep it moving because you're trying to imitate, you know, like a goby or a crawfish or something like that. I don't know if you guys have ever watched or seen crawfish move in the water, but they scoot. You know what I mean? They scoot and they scoot. And so that's what you're trying to imitate, is just that scooting motion. And man, when they're on the tube, they're on the tube. It's a phenomenal bait. Always have it tied on. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the jerkbait. Jerkbait's phenomenal. You can see this one's been destroyed. This is a phenomenal smallmouth bait. You can't fish it around grass and stuff though, because you're going to constantly be cleaning seaweed and slime and all that stuff because all these treble hooks on here. These are made by Berkley. This is the Stunno 112 plus 1. This is the Stunno 112. I caught my personal best smallmouth bass on this one right here, the 112 plus 1 in perch. The reason I have two different kinds of jerk baits here is because it's an important deal with color and smallmouth fishing. This is a little more translucent. It's got a little more flash. This is your choice for a bright sunshiny day. Low ceiling, use a solid color. Use a solid color jerk bait if it's cloudy out. Motherfucker. Low ceiling, solid color jerk bait. If it's cloudy out, if you got a low ceiling, throw that solid color jerk bait. Leave the translucent one in the tackle box. Next on the list is going to be the Dark Sleeper. Dark Sleeper is made by Mega Bass. Now, if you're not familiar with Dark Sleeper, it's got this recessed hook down here. And that hides in the fin. So it's not necessarily weedless because that still catches weeds. But this is a phenomenal bait. This is my second favorite bait for catching smallmouth. Overall, lately it's been my favorite. This bait will get bit no matter what. They come in a variety of colors. I've got, you know, some darker ones. I've got some lighter ones. I've got clear ones. No doubt that this bait gets bit, and it gets bit hard by smallies. The only issue is the hookup ratio because the hook is recessed and it's rather small. So, you know, when they grab it, I've had a lot of them, you know, eat it pretty good, and I didn't lose them, but I've lost. You know, it's probably like a 60. I'm going to call it. It's probably a 75% hookup ratio with this when you get bit. You do lose fish, so that's just something to be aware of. But the Dark Sleeper is a must-have in your smallmouth arsenal. And now my number one bait for smallmouth is the paddle tail swimmer with a jig head, swim jig head. I strictly use 1/4 ounce. It's a good in-between weight. It gets you down to the bottom pretty quick, but it's also semi-finesse where it sinks somewhat slow, but it'll keep you on the bottom. Now, the two ways to fish this, actually three. My favorite way is to just drag it, let it hit bottom, drag it, reel your slack, drag it, reel your slack. And man, when they hit this, it's like they hit it with a golf club. I mean, it's ridiculous. The other way to fish it is just a slow retrieve, but it has to be on the bottom for early spring cold water conditions. Again, the smallmouth, when they hit this, it's going to feel like it hit it with a golf club or a baseball bat. And that's why I really like this lure, is because when they hit it, they hit it. And you can set the hook, like I was talking earlier, Bassmasters Classic, man. Just wham, hit it, own them, and you're not going to lose them. Honestly, I've never lost a fish with this particular setup. They don't always want it, but this is like my early spring cold water setup. But man, when they hit this, it's ungodly, and you just let them have it. Don't be afraid to set that hook and own them. But my number one go-to smallmouth bait is this right here. Paddle tail swimmer, 1/4 ounce jig head. Doesn't matter what brand you get. This is Rage, okay? Rage swimmer. I do like Berkley swimmers. You know, there's a whole slew of them out there. Find which one they like the best in your body of water, and make sure you got a bunch of them, because they will tear these bad boys up pretty good. So that's going to wrap it up. Those are my go-to tips, tricks for finding smallmouth on a new lake. If you guys have any more questions about it, leave it in the comments, and I'll answer them, because I really enjoy communicating with you guys through the comments. So with that, I hope this is helpful for you guys. I hope this helps you get out there, because it can be intimidating. Again, finding smallmouth on a lake can be intimidating. So hopefully these tips will help you get out there and find them. And most importantly, when you find them, collide with them. Have all this stuff tied on, ready to go. I'm telling you, this is the arsenal that you need. If you haven't yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification, that way you're notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.